Hello, my name's Mike Wohl, and I'm an entrepreneur. I also have been a guitar player for nearly 35 years, and I have an unbelievable story to share with you about a guitar maker that I discovered. 1 year ago, I was trying to record an album, and I was not happy with the results. So I started researching Michael Hedges, one of the great acoustic guitarists, and discovered that one of his favorite guitars was a Dubourg guitar from Ken Dubourg. And started researching it, couldn't find any for sale, and then ended up tracking down a person named Ken Dubourg that lived on a mountain about 2 hours from my house, and discovered that he was the person who made one of Michael Hedges' favorite guitars. I ended up driving out there and came upon this small house, went inside, and in the middle of his house, which was mostly a workshop, there was this guitar. And so I sat down and started to play it, and after the first strum I recognized that there was something very different about this guitar. There was a resonance about it, there was a power to it that was just unbelievable. It was one of the most amazing guitars I ever played, and I started speaking to him and discovered that he can't make more than one guitar at a time because he needs to sell the guitar so he could buy the materials for the next guitar. I also discovered that he had never sent an email or owned a computer or been on the internet, and that the world basically didn't know he exists. And we spoke about it, and I thought that I could help him build a guitar company and get his story out into the world, that one of the most amazing guitar makers for acoustic guitars is still here and still making beautiful instruments. We talked about some of the most coveted guitars, and they were the pre-World War II Martin guitars. And they oftentimes used old-growth mahogany. Most of the old-growth mahogany has been clear-cut and doesn't exist anymore. And I started researching it and discovered something called synchro mahogany. And that wood came from the fact that the British in British Honduras, or today Belize, had cut down the logs, and they would put them in the rivers, and when they got to the port they were taken back to England to process. But there were many logs that actually sank to the bottom of the rivers and were preserved for the last 100, 200 years, amazingly. And I contacted people who were bringing those logs up, and we have some of the most amazing synchro mahogany wood now that we're building Ken's guitars with. And we're also doing the same with the tops, and that most of the woods of these guitars are reclaimed and all sustainably harvested. I like to say that no trees were harmed in the making of these guitars. I've taken them to many people, and they all concur that these guitars are phenomenal. I contacted one of my favorite guitarists named Mike Dawes, a phenomenal acoustic guitarist. I told him the story, and he agreed to come up from France and meet me in London to play one of these guitars, which he did. And there's an interview you could see here with Mike Dawes, and he had the same impression, that it was powerful and resonant and had these amazing tones. And it was great to hear one of the world's great guitarists really appreciate Ken's guitars. Ken's story reminds me a bit of the life of Van Gogh, who died in relative obscurity and poverty, having not sold any paintings during his lifetime. My hope is that Ken will be recognized and appreciated by the guitarists of the world for these beautiful instruments that he creates. So you can contact us at dubourgguitars.com. The address is below, if you are interested in checking out a Dubourg guitar.
I've been building guitars for 40 years now, and it seems like my phone doesn't ring very much, so sometimes I wonder if anybody knows I exist.
I think people are going to know you exist now.
1, 2, 3.
First time I played this guitar, I had to take a step back because it was so unexpectedly powerful. It was loud, it had a lot of bass, it had all these incredibly sparkly resonances. first heard about the Dubourg guitars when I watched an old Michael Hedges documentary online. I think he was talking about a guitar that he had from 79, 78, that he lost. I think he played it on Breakfast in the Field, his first album. And I think it was stolen and a fan returned it to him. And he was very, very emotional about it and was talking about it like it was almost like his child, one of his favorite guitars. So when I heard about this, I really wanted to get involved and play one of these fantastic guitars that have such an incredible history and legacy. It had its own very unique and powerful voice, but at the same time you could feel the history within the instrument, from the maker. You sort of felt part of the origins of this new wave of fingerstyle guitar music. It's an absolute pleasure to play. Sometimes when I get some new strings or a new guitar, it inspires different ways of writing music and different notes just to happen. Different things sort of pop out of your head. But with a guitar like this, it's like you can try anything that has inspired you in the past. You feel at peace with it, and it's an incredibly inspiring instrument to play. And I'd highly recommend checking out these guitars if you can.
They're the type of musicians I've always strived to build guitars for. It's a very humbling experience to hear music like that played on my instruments.
esta guitarra bueno, se acerca mucho a lo que a mí más me gusta.
Beautiful. Hey. Cool. That's surprisingly easy to play.
Pero es un hermoso instrumento. Beautiful instrument. Great.
There's something about that style of music that I really love, and I could listen to it all day long. So they're the type of artist that I work for.